when we're mixing and we're chasing our tail and we're wondering, are our ears actually working? And often they are, but it's the way we set things up in the session that make it clunky, and we're missing things and we're working over ourselves that we just can't get to the result we want to. So over the last decade, I've been working in the studio, and during that time I've learned things like you have and like the reason you're here. So I want to show you 5 systems I've borrowed, quote unquote, from world-class engineers that always show up in my mixes. I'm going to show you exactly how I set them up and what to listen for, so you can take these from me. Obviously credit to your original engineers, like these guys are absolute legends for pulling this sort of stuff together. I'm going to show you in a mix I've got up in front of me. This mix features a mixing template I use across all my mixes, and if you want to get it, there's a link in the description. But let's start off with the first one by my good friend Luca Predalesi for the drums. Kick and lows, low perk, high perk. Okay, everything here. So you got bass and kick, which quote unquote could be the 808 and kick, but for this track I've got a bass there and I don't really use it like that, but it's there. And then we've got all of our low perk stuff here, and then we've got all of our high perk stuff. Now, what I want to show you, the reason why I really gravitated towards this way of mixing drums is because it stopped me over EQing the drums. Okay, especially on like a drum bus and trying to push EQs into things, I could use the actual natural elements to balance the sound of the record. And by that I mean, I've got VCA faders I set up for this. So I've got kick, low perk, high perk. Now, you're probably wondering, I have a snare and a drum VCA fader there. That's really just for revisions, because they're common revision notes. Hey, can you bring the snare up? Oh, can you bring the drums down? Oh, I've got a fader for that. Makes it quick. But for the sake of actually balancing when I'm starting a session and mixing, this allows me, if I want the overall drum sound to be boomier, well, guess what I can do? I can bring the kick up and the high perks down. If I want it to sound brighter, the overall mix of the drums, I can bring the high perks up and the kick down. If I wanted to make it more mid-driven, I'll bring the low perks out and bring the other ones down. And I'll just play that for you now. So that's the first sort of step I take with it. And then sort of expanding a little bit on that is if we head over to the actual buses here, let's just drag this out. Boom. I've actually got VCAs. So I got, not VCAs, auxiliary channels for snare in parallel, the low perk in parallel. And my favorite one is to take everything but the kick and the lows in terms of the low frequency information and put them into a parallel bus with Decapitator. And what ends up happening is you can get a really good crunch and energy to your mixes through doing this. So let me just play these drums and have a listen to how this just crunches through. Are you going to use that much distortion on a mix? Maybe not, but it's a really cool tool, especially if you want to bring some energy in a heavier section and you really want to get things aggressive and in your face, to have it laid out like that. Now, that's the sort of first thing I got from Luca. The second thing I got was the way he actually does his mix bus compression. So he leverages using the mid channel, or the mid frequencies of the mix to drive the compression. It's still broadband compression, everything's getting compressed, but the side chain is coming from the mid frequencies, which is really good in electronic music because your synths, all that energy that's meant to be up in your face is going to control that ebb and flow. He does it brilliantly, and I'll show you how I set it up for myself. So I typically do this with C2, because it's actually really easy to do in C2. You can see in my last video where I did on Lysander's master, to really get some nice ebb and flow and not let the drums get in the way, which is really important because her vocal is a very important part of that. So I'll show you how I set this up. We're going to get rid of the auto gain. I'm going to put this in mastering mode, and it's going to clock over. There we are. We're going to take this knee all the way down. We are going to listen and run a side chain. Now, what we're listening for with the side, actually, not the delta yet. Listen to this signal here. Just audition the side chain. We want to get as much of the mid-range moving the track, okay? Less transient information. Let's play this. Beautiful. Another way would be to send a side chain signal of everything except the kick and snare and bass. I didn't actually think about that, but you could do that for this. But let me keep showing you how I dial this in. So we've got our side chain set. We're going to audition this with the attack all the way down, the release all the way down. And we want to get this threshold to a point where there's an even keel of transient to body information. You don't want too much transient, you don't want too much body. You want it to sort of be even keel. Something I like using is the range on Pro C2, because basically any super loud information that is getting through, I like to allow it to just let those transients stay neutral and not get compressed. So that's what I've done here. I've minimized the range to 6 dB of compression, or limited it to 6 dB of compression. And I'll take that off and now take a listen to the before and after. I'ma be your baby. 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 To be honest, it's probably a bit strong, so we're going to bring the ratio down to 2. And we'll bring this down to 3. Bring this down to 3. Let's have another listen. I'ma be your baby. 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 Beautiful. That dialed in really well. Bringing it back a little bit, because I could hear the effect of it, but it was really strong at a 4:1 ratio. So dialed that back down to 2:1, and we're good to go. So the third system that I use in my mixes is something I got from Andrew Scheps, and this is the idea of using parallel effects layers for your vocal stack, for your vocal processing. And what this allows you to do is to, instead of setting up like 1 bus of effects or 2 buses of effects, I actually have 6 buses set up, all doing something different. So I've got a parallel processing one with Pultec and DBX compressor, courtesy of obviously Andrew Scheps, who teaches this. And then I've got the reverb, a slap, a whiner, a crusher, and a shine. For this mix, I'm using 3. I'm using the reverb, the slap, and the shine. The slap isn't really a slap, is it? It's Echo Boy, so it's a delay. What we'll do is we'll crank each of these in so we can hear the effect of them, and this is the sort of balance I ended up with on it. Let's have a listen. So the beauty of this sort of system is that I can EQ, compress, do everything I want on my vocals to get them all sitting super well. Then when it comes to just adding that depth, I can blend these layers in. I can automate these layers as well. I can create different stacks of these layers that I can swap in and out at different points of the mix. It's really good. And like literally, if I just want to create another stack, I just highlight them, duplicate them, create a new send and IO for it. And there have been mixes where I've got 3 of these stacks for the same vocal, not playing at the same time, but I'm actually automating and blending them out of one another to create this depth and breadth in the vocal performance, especially when there's changing sections emotionally. Like it goes from a soft, beautiful section to a really loud one. You can really leverage having faders that you can move with different tonality throughout a mix. This next one I love, and this is by Craig Bauer, and this is just the use of having VCA faders at your fingertips that can control all the macro of the mix. So this is a pretty freaking dense mix, if you don't mind me saying. I've got a lot of channels, probably 50 odd vocal channels there, and I think there's 7 or 8 there's like 8 or 9 vocalists in this group, with all stacks of vocals and whatnot. Then you got the instruments and the drums and the guitars, and it's just a lot to go through individual faders to rebalance things once you've already sort of got those groups working. VCA faders are great, especially for revisions. Basically, a VCA fader controls the group. There's no audio running through this fader. It just will take, like, I'll show you the effects here. It'll bring all the effects down, all the effects up. That's actually a really cool one, I should mention. Having an effects fader is incredible, because when people come back and they say the mix is a little bit too wet, all I do is this, and boom, it is less wet. And then in terms of balancing, it makes doing any revision notes, it makes just, even after you get individual levels, just refining a little bit more in and out without actually changing the balance of those groups. Because sometimes if you go into a group and let's say like you've got a bus out for the drums, but then you've got parallels that aren't in that bus, and you bring the drum bus down but the parallels keep the same signal, you're a bit stuffed. Whereas if you have it all grouped on a VCA, you can bring everything down at once, everything up at once. This is just killer. See? So I got one for effects, lead vocal, background vocal, orchestral, synth, guitar, bass, drums, high perk, low perk, snare and kick. It's beautiful. And that brings me on to something a little bit more magical, a little bit more fun we can poke around at. And I'm going to put up on the screen an Instagram post Craig Bauer shared, and this is the 4th system or like mixing trick I use, and it's on guitars, where he did it from a solo guitar source, where he did dotted 16ths on one side, 8ths on the other. But this is a really super cool delay. It's a stereo dual echo delay, 16th on one, 8th notes on the other. Analog chorus for this guitar. He uses Tweaked in this Instagram post, but the analog chorus and the Tweaked are both really good ways to do it. So just take a listen to this guitar with and without this this bad boy here. It's just a cool sound. So I like doing it, and I thought I'd show you guys. And with that, we're ending on a fun note, because this is just a really funky setting on Echo Boy. If you got Echo Boy, steal that, throw it on guitars. I've got a touch of reverb after it, just spicing it up. But these are just fun things. They're also good things. They're repeatable things you can do in your session. The last one's a bit of just a cheeky effect. But the other four is good value for money in terms of starting to implement systems like having Luca Predalesi's lows, low perk, high perk. Great system. Recommend you go check out some of his stuff on, I think it's Mixlab that he runs as an educational platform, and learn some of his mixing techniques. He's a great teacher as well. Andrew Sheps's vocal stuff, his mix throughs on Pure Mix are incredible, and that sort of vocal stack shows up, and I think it's a great technique to learn. Craig Bauer has an incredible Instagram. Go check it out. Really insightful stuff. A talented mixer worth checking out as well. And from me, this template, if you want it, there's a link down in the description. Feel free to get that. And yeah, I'm going to leave you with that. And until next time, take care.